Everybody is born with a little something extra, and sometimes they just have to find it. A little something extra is that superpower that every single one of us has inside that motivates us and drives our passion and makes us do the things that we do.
We're all on the same team. Let's think about how we can make that team as inclusive as we can.
For those of you listening to our podcast right now, you can also check out our video podcast at alittlesomethingextrapodcast.org. We're live.
Whoop, whoop. Okay, welcome everybody to another episode of A Little Something Extra with me, Nancy Gianni, and
The DG of the Playhouse. Sorry.
and
Franco Gianni.
she likes to leave her
The
brother
Franco.
off. She's like, wait, the name on there? I don't see Franco on there. So
Well,
Franco, you need to like pick
Because
up.
my beautiful face wasn't supposed to be originally in the podcast. You know, I'm built for podcasts. You're not supposed to see me. And yeah, but then you guys decided that, you know, my face is fit for podcasts, so now I should be in here. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll sit in the back then. So I'm sorry that Gigi, I'm stealing your spotlight. I'm not trying to.
That's fine.
Thanks.
Well, we are so excited to be here. First of all, we're excited because we have really, really special guests in the podcast studio with us today. They came all the way here from Ireland, and I want them to introduce themselves because I like to hear them talk. I like their accents, and I like, especially to get my buddies here name correct, I like for him to say it himself. So without further ado, let's introduce some amazing people here visiting us on A Little Something Extra from Ireland. Take it away, brother.
Yes, I am Fionn Crombie Angus.
Woo!
Fionn Angus.
Say your first name one more time, because it's a new one for a lot of people.
Yes, I am Fionn.
Fionn.
And
I
my
love it.
name is Jonathan. And when you put our two names together, you get
Fionnathan.
Woo! I like it.
Jonathan.
Fionnathan. Well, speaking of Fionnathan, tell us what brought those two names together.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's our two names, Fionn and Jonathan. So we put them together to get Fionnathan.
Yeah, I wanted Jonathan, something like that, but
It didn't work.
didn't really work. And
Exactly.
And also, it does say something about our project that
Yes.
Yeah.
that Fionn really is the boss. Right?
Yes,
And that-
Hey,
Yes,
I,
you gotta
I think
pri-
I
you gotta
might know what that
prioritize.
feels like. It's not Nancy's Playhouse, is it?
No,
it
no,
is not. It
indeed
is
not.
Gigi's Playhouse. I think I've been there, brother. I think I've been there.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about what, you know, is Fionnathan and Fionnathan Productions.
Yes.
Yeah, well, our three main pillars in Fionnathan Productions, we work in the arts, media, and education.
Ooh, arts, media, and
So
education.
there's a lot of overlap with what Gigi's Playhouse does, of course.
Absolutely.
Although we do it on a micro scale.
Yeah.
And we started this project, well, you were about 18. You were just finishing up with high school
Yes.
at the time.
And Fionn, how old are you now?
I'm 26 now.
26.
Yeah.
Nice. You're older than me
Yes, I know that.
and looking much better, in my opinion.
Thank you very much, Franco.
You're welcome.
So in Ireland, of course, the whole scene for people with Down syndrome is different than here, although there are some things that are very good and there are some things that are very not. And when Fionn was looking at, well, what comes next for me after I finish high school, would you say that you were excited about the things that were on offer?
No, that they had low expectations for people like me, actually.
They did. They had low expectations, and it was a bit like when you tried out going to a quote special school for a while.
That's right.
And
yeah.
it was a lot of it was like the homework was coloring pages, and just
Right.
Yeah, and spelling books, as well as coloring books, that kind of thing.
kind of ridiculously
Yeah.
low. And so we looked at each and decided, no, this wouldn't work for you. And then you got a chance to interview the CEO of one of these traditional disability support places. They call it the Brothers of Charity.
Oh.
That's
That's the
right.
kind of names they use in Ireland for such places.
Brothers of Charity.
Yeah, because of the Church of Ireland and that kind of thing.
And
Yeah.
you asked, what, 3 questions of the CEO? What did you ask
I
him?
did. Yes, I asked the CEO if I could get fiddle or violin lessons there, and do you do zoology, and do you do any filmmaking courses there?
Because filmmaking and zoology and violin playing were the three things that you were really interested in learning
That's
to do.
fantastic.
Really awesome.
I
And-
love that.
And the answer, of course, was no, we don't do any of those things here.
Yeah.
And so you said, well, why would I sign up with you?
Yes.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
And so we said to the funders, the Department of Health, probably the same over here, but seems kind of strange that it's in that, life is much more than just health.
Right,
But,
absolutely.
But anyway, said Fionn's not going to sign up for any of these. And they said, oh, that's all right, good luck to you, goodbye. And we said, wait. We want you to give the money that you would have given to the service directly to Fionn so that he can plan his own journey. And they said...
Interesting.
At first they said no.
Yeah, they said, we don't do that.
Yeah.
And we said, well, we expected that answer, but look, we'll just make an appointment for next week, and we'll come and we'll ask you the same question, and maybe you'll be ready to give us the right answer then. And if you say no still, we'll just be back the week after.
Good for you.
Yeah,
We're not stopping. We're persistent.
Well, we knew that we were on the right side of history, and that for people to have control in their own lives is really it's time. It's past time.
Absolutely.
And these old services where people spend Monday through Friday for decades doing what somebody else decides. It's no good.
It can get very rudimentary and just get you into this cycle of just really not being able to grow. And I love the idea that you wanted to be able to take that funding because they're going to be pouring resources into it. It just might not be something that's going to be your passions.
Right.
And the fact that you wanted to be able to grow your passions and also be able to then amplify them onto others to be able hey, look what you could do as well. It's not just you don't have to just sit here all day doing these same rudimentary tasks.
Yes. You know what? I recently met with 2 people in Chicago who are trying to do that in the Chicago school systems.
Oh, brilliant. Really?
So when I hear you said it was oh my gosh, but you guys actually got it done in Ireland.
Fionn became the first person in Ireland. There were people with physical disabilities who had personal budgets previously, but never someone with a learning disability. And
Interesting.
And when they gave you the money, when they gave you a budget, and not a big budget, about 10 hours a week, but it was sort of like the dog that caught the car, because it's okay, now what?
Yes, right?
You're going to have to hire somebody yourself. You're going to have to start a company. You're going to have to get insurance and all this kind of stuff. And you made a really smart decision early on.
I did, yes. I decided to hire my sharp-looking, dapper, and yet very handsome father.
Thank you. I'll pay you later.
Awesome.
Quite the hype man right there.
Yeah.
I need Gene to start talking about me like that.
That's right.
And part of the reason why I was a smart hire is I said, well, I'll take that 10 hours of pay and I'll work 40, 60,
100 hours.
whatever
Yes,
it
absolutely.
takes, And so that's when we started our social enterprise.
Yeah.
And we called it Fionnathan. Fionnathan Productions.
Yeah.
So as you said, we can do media, arts, and education.
Yes.
And we realized kind of straight away that, well, Fionn's going to be working just as hard as I am on this project. That's what entrepreneurs do. So why should I be the one that's paid and Fionn just is the one who's,
Recipient of whatever
the recipient?
Yes,
exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Again.
And so we again looked, because why not look at what kind of government programs there are? And it turns out that in Ireland, if you hire someone with a disability, they kick back 50% of the wages. So I said, well, we're hiring someone with disability
Wow.
then. And so we were able through that and through money that we earned to pay both of our salaries.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And I saw a little bit of your talent and some of the stuff that you were able to learn.
Yeah.
One of your 3 things, which was the violin,
Yes.
which is amazing. And if I could please ask a favor,
Okay.
can you please play a little something for us? Because it was amazing when I heard it before. Do you mind?
Sure.
And tell me, where did your love for the violin come from?
So this particular left left-handed violin because it is left-handed inside, and I myself am left-handed. Inside structurally, the tone bar and the sound post are reversed.
So it's very unusual.
Yes.
Only about 1 in 100 instruments are made left-handed.
Wow. Very
Yes,
cool.
and this particular violin was made in a factory in Romania.
And
wow.
And it was custom built for
Yes.
Fionn.
Oh,
That's right.
bring it out, brother. I want to hear it.
And the last thing to mention about that is that we went back to the government and said, well,
Yeah.
this is an adapted piece of work equipment, so
Yes.
you need to pay for it. And they did.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
No way.
They did.
They
I
did.
love the fact that
Yes.
Ireland's at least, throwing out all
Yes.
these
Wow. Okay.
Well, if you know how
Resources.
to, if you know how to look for it. you know.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean,
Okay.
seriously, what an
Okay,
awesome,
great.
awesome instrument.
So while
Get it?
Fionn's picking up his instrument, I'll just say I think I know the tune he wants to play, and it's probably the world's most famous tune from Ireland.
That's right.
What's it called?
It's the world's famous Danny Boy ballad.
Woo!
Danny Boy Ballad.
I love it.
I'm ready when you are.
All right, cool.
Whoa, that was amazing.
That was beautiful.
You made me cry, brother. Your music made me cry.
Well, you're so very welcome,
And your
Nancy.
talent made me cry. I'm like so blown away by you and what you've been able to do and the way that you advocate for yourself and the way your dad is right there alongside with you. You guys are amazing and you're like pioneers paving the way through Ireland. And I hope that we can bring this mentality to many countries, including the U.S. I would love for Gigi to be able to.
Can I tell a quick story about Fionn
Absolutely.
playing
Yeah.
music? Because Fionn often busks in Galway. And you probably know that Ireland is a great place for the arts, and
Yeah.
people playing, like, street music is a really... It's something that's embraced by the whole culture, and Galway's probably the best city. Fionn has played around the world, and Galway's one of the best places in the world to
Yeah.
play music. And one day you were playing, and we have a bit of a social media profile, and somebody contacted us on Facebook, and she said, just recently I gave birth to a child with Down syndrome, and my husband and I were fine with it. Like, we didn't have to go through this mourning process that's so common for many families. But she said, the one thing was, we're both musicians, and my husband was always looking forward to teaching his child how to play music, and well, he just said, well, she has Down syndrome, so that's never going to happen. And then they were walking down the street, and they heard
Yeah.
some music, and they turned the corner,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
and they saw Fionn playing, and they
Yes.
looked at each other, they told us, and said, everything's going to be all right.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You're an inspiration,
You're an
man.
inspiration. I mean,
Yes, and I wanted to to say one quick thing.
Sure.
When I'm busking, playing my fiddle on the streets of Galway, I have learned to say this to the people of Galway and nationally and internationally. I say, power of love, power to the people.
Woo!
I'll
take it.
The people.
Power
I'm sure
of
they
love.
love it.
Yeah.
It's all about that love.
Yes, it is.
You are radiating
you're
with it, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure too. Just walking down the streets of Galway too, and just being able to see you on the streets playing that.
That's
I mean,
right.
Making people feel good.
I'm sure you attract quite the crowd.
And between
do.
tunes, Fionn is a real charmer too. So he's
Oh,
giving
please.
loads of compliments to everyone walking
Oh, yeah.
by.
I've already seen that.
Yeah.
I may have been a victim of that charm.
Well, you are now, see? And so are you. DJ.
JJ. She has a couple questions for you.
Nice.
Here, let me move this mic for you. We're a little short on headphones and mics. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can.
Actually, before Gigi asks her question, can I ask one real quick? Just about,
Okay.
it's about the music.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing the fiddle for?
For 17 years now.
17 years.
Yeah.
So you've been playing it since you were what, 9 years old?
That's correct, yeah.
That's awesome.
Wait, is that a fiddle or a violin?
I think they're
Good
one in the
question.
Thank you,
what-
because
is
I
there a
was like,
difference?
wait.
Well, that's a very good question. It's to do with the style of music. So, so it's basically two names for the same instrument. So in my case, the style of music that I play mostly is all traditional Irish.
Yeah.
So that's the fiddle.
So
That would be the
we-
fiddle then.
Interesting.
Yeah, we saw
Okay.
a concert once in a Dublin orchestra, and they were doing some traditional music mixed in, and they had a soloist playing violin, and they had a different soloist playing fiddle. But
Oh my goodness.
they could have swapped instruments.
100%.
The same thing, but it's just the way
Yeah.
that they're played.
Okay, yeah. I thought that they were pretty much the same instruments, but it's all about
Well,
the way that they're played. Got it.
Right, because I'm thinking about myself when I hear The Devil Went Down to Georgia and I
That would-
pretend I'm playing the fiddle.
That would
I'm
be
like,
a fiddle.
That's a fiddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fiddle. That's a fiddle.
I get it.
So then when
I
it
don't,
comes
I
to
don't
playing,
know how to look like I
yeah,
do
how would
play
it
the violin.
then? Do you know how it translates then when it's in
For him.
like,
Okay.
say if you're playing, I think of that song, that would be like a bluegrass country song.
Yeah.
Does it kind of apply the same way when it comes to American music as well, like American folk and things like that?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Traditional also means folk music. So you can call that instruments there the traditional fiddle or the folk fiddle.
Folk fiddle.
Yeah.
Very
It
cool.
wouldn't
makes a lot of
surprise
sense.
me
Yeah.
to learn that the term fiddle was started in America. I'm not sure that that's true, but there's been so much back and forth of traditional culture because so many Irish people moved to
Yeah,
America
absolutely.
Right.
and kind of the musical style mixed with other things and changed and then was brought back to Ireland and back and forth it goes and
Yeah.
so
I've seen
so much that's grown.
I've seen the Irish flag come out here in Chicago actually. So
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Alrighty.
Yes.
you'll definitely see it
We
all over the
celebrate
place.
that,
We
baby.
celebrate a lot.
That's right. All right, I'm sharing my mic. Go ahead. Sorry.
Gigi's gonna get to her questions.
I have a question.
I know you've had multiple questions and I was hogging the mic. Go ahead.
No, I have a question about his music.
Oh yeah.
Do you play music on your violin?
Yeah, you just said.
Fiddle. Sorry, fiddle.
I do play music on the fiddle. Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, he does it all. He does it on the streets in Ireland, and he does it here for us, and he
Yeah.
does lots of different shows.
All different kinds of music. Yeah, not just the
Oh.
Irish. I know what you meant. That
I know.
they don't just play traditional Irish. He could play just about anything.
Oh.
I think that's what you
Yeah,
meant.
Fionn plays a few pop tunes
Okay.
and
That's
a
what
few
I figured. I
classical
think that that's
tunes,
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
American folk tunes as well.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
All right. All about my tips.
Wait, what about this?
Oh,
We'll
sorry.
get to your tips at the end.
Yeah.
Get
Sorry.
your questions though.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I had some in the past, but not currently. But I would love to have one in the not too distant future.
In the not too
Nice.
distant future. Well, that doesn't surprise me that you've had girlfriends in the past. You're definitely quite the Casanova.
Oh yeah,
That's
he
for
is.
sure.
Yeah. Well, I am quite the guy for the girls. I can say that.
Yeah. Oh, you're a good catch, huh?
I mean,
If I
hey,
do
with the
say
musical
so
instrument
myself.
too, I'm definitely sure that just drives the girls crazy.
It's a magnet.
It actually does. Actually, when I'm playing on the streets of Galway, I'm a real money magnet.
Oh, I bet
You're a
you
money
are.
magnet too.
That's true too.
Chick magnet, chick magnet, and a money magnet.
That's correcto.
You know what that is? The recipe for success.
All
Right there,
right.
brother.
You
right
got it.
there.
You're
I-
money and a chick magnet.
I had a boyfriend, but not anymore now. So
Okay.
That
yes.
happens, you know.
Yes, you're in a
Yeah.
transitional period.
Yeah.
Just like you.
Yeah.
like
Yep.
single.
Right, Finn?
Yeah, like
No.
single.
Like singles, yes, exactly.
Sorry. Do you have siblings?
I don't, but I do have cousins. Though.
Oh,
You have a lot of cousins, both in America, in Australia, and
Yes.
in Ireland,
That's correct.
and
Yes.
in England. Come to think of it,
England. Yeah.
You got family all over the place. That's awesome.
Yeah.
but you were the only child, right?
That's correct. I'm an only child. Yeah.
I'm sure Gigi would love it if that were the case. Taking in all of the spotlight like she already does.
I wanted to ask you, Gigi, is Franco your only brother, and have you any sisters?
Franco's my only brother. He is 25, and then I have two sisters, Bella and Romy. They are the same age as Franco.
but Romy's
So-
the same age as
Yeah,
us.
same age as me.
And Bella
And
is
then-
21.
And Bella is 22.
22.
No,
Just
right?
turned 20.
Just turned 22.
Gigi wants to be 21. She wants a fake ID. She's tried. She tried to get one behind my back. And I said, Gigi.
Gigi, come on out, golly.
I go, it's trouble because people can Google you and know your age. So you're not getting a
not
fake
gonna work.
ID.
We're not going to pull
Not going to work.
And go, also, you can't get one when you're 20 years old. You turn 21 in a year. You'll be okay.
Shall we tell Gigi the secret? In Ireland, you can drink at the age of 18.
Guess where we're going? Woo! Road
Going to
trip.
Ireland. Yeah. And the thing is, too, it's not like Gigi even really cares much about drinking alcohol or anything like that. It's more about, so like Gigi always comes down with me to Chicago. So she comes down there, hangs out with all my friends. She wants to be able to go out. But the problem is, which this isn't a problem that you can relate to, I would assume, is the fact that she can't get into any of the restaurants or anything that are in the city because you have to be 21 in order to get in. So even if she doesn't want to drink or anything like that, she can't even be able to go into these places. So that's why she really just wants to be included more in all the stuff that we do.
I do.
Yeah, and
Because you can actually go.
really happened during COVID. It got so much worse. Before it wasn't as bad, and then after COVID, it got a lot worse.
Yes.
So do you want to ask them their?
What?
She always likes to take away the big question because we have this podcast called A Little Something Extra. So I just like yes. So I like to take that, but Gigi wants to find out and ask the question. So go ahead, Gigi.
What is your something extra?
So, and to give a little background as to what your little something extra is, just so you can really think on it for a second. So, a little something extra is really like your superpower. So, it's the part of you that really motivates and what makes you feel passionate about
Yes.
making an impact on this world, and what really fuels that passion and motivation.
Well, my superpower is optimism and being optimistic.
Woo!
All day, every day.
Drop the mic, brother. Drop the mic.
There is no better way of just creating a more positive world than always bringing optimism to the equation.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Jonathan, what is your something extra, brother?
Well, I wanted that one.
Sorry,
They always steal our
brother,
thunder.
father.
Yeah, I tell you. No, I think that I love children. I always have. My entire adult life has been devoted to children. I've been a teacher of children of all ages, and when I say, of course, no one tells you you're going to be a parent to someone with Down syndrome, or some people find out a little before birth. Sometimes we found out a little afterwards. But when I found out that Fionn has Down syndrome, I was kind of thrilled in a way because I knew a few people with Down syndrome, and what I see is this. I don't want to, say anything that isn't politically correct, but a kind of a childlike nature to adults with Down syndrome. And when I say childlike, I mean that as the highest compliment.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really exciting that people like you, Gigi, and you, Fionn, can teach the rest of us adults about how to be open to awe and to be
Yes.
kind of loving every day. And
Mm-hmm.
I think people with Down syndrome teach so much to the rest of us about that because they carry that something. And
Yes,
it's
it is.
tricky.
There's something extra. It's that
something
extra.
appreciation.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
that their constant gratitude, their selflessness.
Yeah.
That,
So I love that
Yes.
in people like the two of you, and I'm able to. I hope I'm someone who can share that. Just share that fact with people so
Yeah.
that people can see. Oh yeah, it is really good to not be cynical and to not be stuck in our ways and to
Absolutely.
really be open to the world.
see.
Well, I
Yes,
think something, and
absolutely.
I could not agree more. And I think something that you say a lot, and it's something that I notice with Gigi and so many just individuals with Down syndrome, is their ability to live in the present. So I think one of the reasons in life that, me or you might have any type of, I think the difference between individuals with Down syndrome and those who don't is the fact that with you guys having such a better ability to live in that present, there's just less of the stresses and anxieties of
Yes.
life and the cynicalness that can come with, dwelling on certain things and just being able to just be that present there and just constantly being able to, I guess, appreciate life a little bit more in a different
Totally.
way and seeing life
Living
with a
in
different
that moment.
perspective
Yeah.
just allows that type of just pureness that I think is really exuded by any individual with Down syndrome. And I think it's always been my favorite
Yep.
aspect of Gigi is the fact that she's never really, dwelling in those moments of things that have happened or things that might happen. You're just constantly just feeling appreciative of the moment that you're in.
Or yes, and that's what. Whenever we travel, this girl saves me. I live in a place that she knows. I live in the future or the past. I'm always either thinking about what I need to do or thinking about why didn't I do this way. And Gigi's always like, Mom, there's our hotel room, or you need to turn here, or you need to do this, because she lives in that present. And it's a place that I desperately want to get to, and I try to get there by slowing down sometimes, and I'm not there. And it's a place I strive to be because I know I could be a better person. I know we all could be better people if we could take that time that they take to take in the world, to take in feelings, to read people's feelings. Gigi knows right away when someone's feeling down. I could see her, she'll know me in the car. She'll be able to tell by my voice or by my actions, and she'll just put her hand on my knee. Or she'll put my hand on my shoulder, right? She knows how to read me. And in that moment, I have to stop myself and just go, thank you, God, because I know you sent her to me for a purpose.
Yeah.
And it's for me.
And I helped you though.
You always help me. She helps me every single day of my life, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm so blessed and feel so grateful that I get to have that in my life every single day. I see, especially now, I see Gigi's now 20. Fionn's 26. And so your friends, their kids are moving on, everybody's moving on, and I feel, and a lot of them are going through weird changes, and I don't know if I like this, I don't know if I like this. I love where I'm at right now with her and where our life is at, and that I can still show her new things, and she's still with me for, you know what I mean? And I can still teach forever. And I just think it's such a gift from God, and she can keep teaching me.
Well, that's really important.
That's what I think is
to
the biggest
recognize.
piece. I
Yeah,
love
because
you, Gigi.
I mean, we hardly have to say to you, but maybe some people in the audience who don't know people with Down syndrome might think, oh, so they're just like children, and of course
Not
that's
at all.
not
Right,
you,
right.
You are both complete adults.
Yes.
but in a
The most
in a
beautiful
unique
way ever.
And
Yeah.
and also you. I know this man has a rainbow of emotions, right?
Yes.
So there's not
Yes.
not
Always
always
happy. Absolutely not.
but tending toward that side of things,
Yes.
which is something I strive for.
Me too,
You know,
100%.
Being
And he
able to
lives on
see
his
the bright
own,
side
doesn't he?
of
Do
life.
you, where do you live by yourself?
I do have my own apartment.
That's what I thought.
But this handsome, good-looking sharp dude here,
There we go.
he lives along with me.
Wow, nice.
For the
and
time
you know
being,
what? Yeah.
that's right. But
Exactly.
it's Fionn's is the only name on the lease. And
You've
it's
trained him
his
well
place.
with talking about you. Very nice. Gigi, I'm going to have to do that. My beautiful mom. We got to start using some magic tips.
Sophia, and so I
Hers
know,
would be bad. I'm not even going to.
Yeah. Before I answer your question, Franco.
Yeah.
I just I just wanted to turn the tables on you, Gigi. What is your superpower?
Oh, geez, what is your something extra? I love it. Here, you want to talk into my mic?
Sure.
Got put on the spot there. You weren't expecting
Didn't
that
you?
one, were you?
I love to.
But what is your superpower?
Oh, sorry.
What's your something extra?
What's your something extra?
I like to be nice.
Something extra is treating people good. Okay.
And then, and I am inspiration for all the people. Like give them compliments, and then my superpower.
That was your superpower.
Yeah.
Was being an inspiration to all the people.
That's wonderful.
Wow. You put her on the spot. She wasn't ready for that one. She was like, what?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah.
I
You
think
sure
that's
about
right,
that?
though, Gigi. Yes. Your superpower is being able to help be voice for Down syndrome and
Inspiration.
an inspiration for at least with this organization, and helping people find their something extra also, and inspiring them to know what their superpower is and think about that.
Thank you for asking that. You know what? A lot of times she doesn't get asked that question. She's usually the one asking the question. So thank you,
Gigi-
sir.
Gigi also
Oh, you
has
have one
something
more?
else. What
Oh,
else you
boy.
got?
And then I sing too.
That's her other superpower is singing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's another way you can help people find their inspiration. I mean, in the same way that you helped that family who just had that child who wanted to get into, who they were hoping could get into music. Gigi's the same way. She was, the same type of inspiration for people who also aspire to, be able to sing and to be able to just follow their dreams. I know, I keep pulling your hair. I'm sorry.
Okay. Here. Okay.
If you had one message for the world, what will it be?
Well, I suppose to be optimistic about life and to embrace life.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love
I think Gigi
it.
might have a tip
That
that's
is
pretty similar to that, too.
Yeah.
an amazing message, by the way.
Perfect message.
Dad?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, you.
Well, you haven't said it yet, so I'm going to swipe one from you, okay? I don't know if the statistics are accurate, but Fionn sometimes says, when you consider that 499 out of 500 babies suffer from a lack of Down syndrome, my parents are incredibly lucky.
I love it.
You're 1 in 500.
love it.
I love it.
And a bit playful with this whole idea of it's such a tragedy. Oh,
Yes.
you suffer, you poor parents.
Yes.
And just flipping that around and saying,
I can-
as you've said, what
You
a
are
what a
so
blessing
lucky.
in
Yes.
so many ways, many more important ways in life than the challenges. And it's not to say there aren't additional challenges.
Of course.
But
Well, and to even touch on like what you were saying before, that it's just been like you were kind of excited when you got that diagnosis, which is so just uncommon when you. Gigi keeps staring at me because I keep pulling her hair. No, but it's so uncommon for people to necessarily have that type of mindset when that happens. But like I think it's just because of that lack of understanding.
Yeah.
And I think that. And I mean, I was 6 years old when Gigi was born, so I didn't necessarily have an opinion on the matter because I didn't know much about it. But when I look back on it now, I mean, it's just like such a blessing because I've seen the way that it affects our family, and I see the way that it affects me. And I'm assuming that parent or even a sibling, it allows you to shape this mindset of the world that's different than others.
Yeah.
And there's this perspective of the world.
do you think it's changing, Franco?
Do I think mine is changing? Do I think the world is changing?
New parents who get a diagnosis. Do you think more of them are quicker to get past the this is a tragedy, this is awful?
Yeah.
Because I think it is.
I think it's
changing.
definitely
Or they're
changing.
faster to. I mean,
I think there's a lot of different aspects that go into it. I
Yeah.
mean, and Mom, I want you to be able to touch on this obviously too, but from what I've seen, there's a lot more resources out there now. I think, like, even I'm assuming when Fionn was born, and then also when Gigi was born, you can't necessarily just go like. I guess when Gigi was born, you could just jump right on the internet and see. But there wasn't much.
There was a
wasn't
lot of
many
negatives
resources.
back then.
And there's a lot of negatives behind it. I think that the definition
even
behind Down
tell you
syndrome
what I
was a
read.
lot more literal than it was when it comes to the perspective that we would define it as. But so I do think though that there's still a lot of negative stigma behind it when those families get that diagnosis. I mean, we see families that come in every day where their doctors are telling them that their kid's never going to walk, that their
That they're-
kid's
we-
never going to
we-
be able to speak,
recently had one that was told that there was a prenatal diagnosis, and the doctor told them that the baby was going to be born with no nose and his intestines on the outside of the body, and you have 3 weeks to make a decision. And they chose to keep their child, and
None of that.
the baby
being
was
case.
fine.
So, I just-
So unfortunately, so many people, in the medical field, many are working hard to learn more, but
vast
textbook,
majority, I would say.
textbook Down syndrome is not pretty. And the ones that only know textbook Down syndrome wouldn't want that for,
Exactly.
for people. So
Fionn-
that's,
Fionn gave a talk to a nursing conference earlier
Yes.
this summer in Dublin,
Yeah.
and a woman who was attending the conference from California came up and spoke to me afterwards and said, like, I'm a counselor for women who have problem pregnancies, and she said, I have to say, I've always advised to terminate it when Down syndrome is diagnosed. And she said, but I never met anybody like Fionn before. And I'm right in real time rethinking the kind of advice that I give people. So I think a
That's
lot of
amazing.
it does come from ignorance.
yes.
You know?
Well, and that's why
Without a
it's
doubt.
so important to me. That's why I always wanted every Gigi's Playhouse to be in a community. I want people to have a place to walk by with their children, open up dialogue, talk about our kids. The more they see them, the less they appear to be different or scary. That's why it's so important to me. I mean, I just got a text right now. We just opened in Cincinnati, our 56th location. And I just got a text from families, leaving that playhouse. And they sent me a picture of their kids in the back seat in their car seats going, Gigi's Playhouse. They finally got to go and have their own playhouse. So that's why it's so important to me, because the more people that get access to our kids, the more that are going to go out there and advocate for them. Such an important piece. Such an important
My
piece.
favorite.
And it's a huge piece that we're trying to tie in right now. So starting tomorrow, as we know, is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. And what we're focusing on for this whole month is we're going to be just sharing stories of individuals or of families of Down syndrome, whether it's parents, whether it's siblings, whether it's grandparents. I mean, anyone
Teachers,
that's connected
anybody.
to Down syndrome. And just providing an understanding. So the whole theme is creating acceptance through understanding. Because I think when it comes to all aspects of life, any person, you can't necessarily really accept someone until you really understand them. You can't form a judgment or any type of opinion on someone unless you really understand them, at least an opinion that matters. And I think that by, creating more exposure and opportunities to really meet people with Down syndrome and not necessarily define them by their medical diagnosis or what you would see in a dictionary, but by the definition that, I would give
Someone
of an
shares.
individual with Down syndrome, or you would give,
Yeah.
or Fionn, that you would give yourself. I mean, I think by providing those perspectives, it allows the world to actually form a more educated opinion as to of who people are.
Yeah.
And I think that applies with anything. So
yes, submit something. So go to gigisplayhouse.org/DSAM and send a video of you playing music. I think would be great.
Yes.
Or
There's lots
a
of
blog
great
post,
stuff.
a picture, anything that just will share who he is to you and who you are to yourself would be awesome.
Yes.
And I want to tell you guys, I'm very excited. I again, like I told you, I met recently with some people that are trying to get some legislation passed around here, and I will be sharing this with them for sure. I mean, for us, Gigi's Playhouse is all, you were asking me earlier, we don't, we're privately funded, not government or state funded, and for me, the reason I did that 19 years ago is because I just knew that you can't count on that. And that, a lot of people or a lot of places kind of get content and then they stop going out there raising the funds and raising the awareness of whatever their charity, whatever it might be, because they depend on those government funds. And then it dwindles down, and what you really get out of that dwindles so much. So it was always something for me to not ever have to depend on the government or the state, because a lot of times you can't, especially we live in Illinois, and there's a lot of issues here with all that kind of stuff. But I can't wait to share this with them, and I love what they're doing. I hope that we can do something like that, because I would love for her to be able to enhance the skills of what she loves. I think that that's an important piece, not just what these schools get funding. They're each, I think what they were telling me is like $27,000 a student. Imagine if she got $27,000 a year to be able to put it towards what she loves, like music and fitness and all the things that would enhance her life more. So I thank you so much for sharing that with us. You guys have been amazing to be on here, and I know that Gigi has some tips, and she wants to work
Hold on,
with you.
I have a couple more
Really?
things that I still want to discuss before we get into Gigi's tips. So I know that you guys are you're as happy as we are to have you guys here on the podcast. You guys aren't just here for being on our podcast in the States. You guys are here because there was the Down Syndrome Act in the UK. Could you guys speak on that? And that's really why you're here. You guys are traveling around a couple different cities in the United States and talking with different DSAs and kind of just spreading that information. So can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, the Down Syndrome Act is an amazing story. And
Yeah.
Fionn, why don't you start in on it?
Yes. So it actually started out as a private member's bill put in by Dr. Liam Fox, MP.
In what parliament? What country are we talking about?
We're talking England here.
Talking England, which people might be surprised to hear because
Wow.
we, of course, live in Ireland. But Fionn got a call by some people who are setting up. This is people with Down syndrome and family members of people with Down syndrome who said, it's time to get something done. And so we're starting a committee that will lobby government and try to get a Down Syndrome Act. The goal wasn't to bring in legislation that would make new things. It's just to make sure that the local authorities are doing what they're supposed to do. Because clearly things like speech therapy in the schools and things like that, it's a bit of a lottery whether people are able to access.
If you're
it
like
or
in the
not.
right school, some of them are more accessible and just better
Very
than
much.
others. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we were called, I said, "You do know that we're in Ireland, right?" And they said, "Well, it doesn't matter. Like you can be part of this group." So take it again, Fionn. How many people with Down syndrome were part of the group?
There are 4 plus me of founding officers with Down syndrome
Awesome.
on the National Down Syndrome Policy Group and national meaning the UK.
Yeah, so
Very cool.
that's 5 people out of 15. So
Fantastic.
it really is.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
really is. You could say, well, sure, if it's a Down syndrome group, shouldn't it be 50% or more? And yes, one day. But if you look around, there's so many
I
Down
agree.
syndrome organizations where leadership doesn't have anybody with Down syndrome.
Absolutely.
And the people who are employed are not people with Down syndrome. And so
you're providing a true and real perspective.
Yeah.
so it was
Yeah.
a good solid start. And then things went very quickly, and
Yeah.
a lot of people with good hearts working really hard and a lot of luck. And so in less than a year, what happened?
That the Queen of England signed the Down syndrome bill and it is now law. It's officially the Down Syndrome Act, and it's the Down syndrome specific human rights legislation that has been signed by the Queen of England.
Yeah,
Whoa.
it's the most expansive
That's
Down
amazing.
syndrome specific law in the world at the moment. And it was one
Wow.
of the Queen of England's final official acts to
Yes.
sign this bill.
Wow.
That's incredible. So the stipulation.
That is incredible.
And I'm assuming it was in the last year, so that was probably one of the last big acts that she was really signing on.
Wow.
Yeah.
End
Very
of
cool.
April was when she did
Yeah.
that.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's
So when
amazing.
when it comes to that act and that law that got put into place, is like the stipulations behind that law, like to ensure that that schools and that there are the resources available in every single district to make sure that individuals
Yeah.
with Down syndrome are being properly served.
Yeah, as I say, there's not a big budget behind it, so it
Yeah.
isn't that there'll be a lot more money going in. There is some, but it's more that
Monitoring.
local authorities have to do what they've signed up to do. You know,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and that they're being given guidance about how to make it happen.
That's
So,
amazing.
and it's not just education; it's what other categories, Fionn?
As well as education, there's employment, there's healthcare, social care, housing.
Housing. Yep, that's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
The crazy thing for me, because I mean, people who listen very closely might recognize that I don't have a true Irish accent. I've only been there 20 years, but I grew up in America. But I don't know much of anything about UK politics.
Right.
So I was surprised to learn that the act, like it's just a skeleton, and all the meat comes after the law is passed. So now is the process for the next year or so of doing consultation with the community, and then for the civil servants to be writing up the actual guidelines that'll go to local authorities. So the reason we were in England earlier this week is that there's a consultation where the government wants to hear from stakeholders, they say, but we say, well, that's people with Down syndrome. The people you need to ask, if you're going to be asking what should go into this bill, are the people with Down syndrome. So
Yes, and I just want to add nothing with how do you say nothing about us without us.
Woo! I like
Think
that.
about us without us. That is awesome. That is such a
simple
good quote.
way to say it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing
Yes.
about us without us.
Yes,
Yeah.
provide what you're looking for and what you want out of this
Be a
life,
part
so
of
you
it.
can really
Be
able
a
to
part of
help
it.
deliver
Someone
Yeah.
shouldn't tell you what you need to study. You want to study what you're interested in.
And
100
clearly you're a trailblazer in that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you're
agree
exactly
because
that.
when I think about that, like our literacy program, we do free tutoring in literacy and math. But in our literacy program, we teach what's meaningful and relevant
Wonderful.
and what they care about. Why do they need to learn something else? What's
Right.
meaningful and relevant to them. And then they can go on, then they learn so much faster because they're so interested in it. And it leads them to so many other opportunities.
Yeah,
Because that
absolutely.
literacy is such a big piece.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't do it because you have to be taught this way, and they're learning about things that don't mean anything to them, or it's not meaningful and relevant.
Yeah.
That's so I love it.
I think what we've learned is that one of the most important educational aspects that's often overlooked is citizenship. Is what does it mean to be a citizen?
Absolutely.
And, we
There's
we
citizens.
basically tell government, well, take care of it, but really we need to be engaged with it and say,
Totally.
well, hold on a minute. If
Yep.
you're going to do this, you need to do it right.
Yeah.
And so that's what Fionn has been doing, and it's really exciting to be.
Did you see
a
that?
part of
Yes.
this.
Franco's writing notes, taking notes about you, brother. And so
I love it.
Awesome.
Nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
that is-
Exactly.
that is an amazing quote.
that
Yes.
I couldn't agree
that could
more.
lead us into tips because that is the best tip I've ever heard. Gigi, what do you think? Are you ready for some tips?
Yep.
Are you ready?
Whoa. Well,
I need my thing down.
oh, sorry, but what is this word?
Tips.
Tips.
There she is.
Hey.
I thought I was going to be able to sing it today, but
No.
I guess she took it away from me.
All right, girl.
About loving life.
Okay.
Yes.
Always to keep positive attitude, even when you're feeling down.
Okay.
Follow your passions. Every day is special if you do what you love.
Right. You're an example of that. You don't play music like that unless you love it.
Yeah.
Make sure to live in the moment. Life moves fast, so don't miss it.
That's me.
Yep. Gigi tries to not miss it for you.
So me.
Say yes, adventures are what makes life fun, and most adventures start with yes.
Say
Yeah.
yes. Okay. To adventures. I don't always do that either. Okay. Go ahead.
Surrounded yourself with friends and family. Life is the best when you share it.
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Those are good tips.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like a lot of those, and those tips were made before we even talked with Fionn, and I feel like so many of them relate to it too.
All about
Keep
you,
that
brother.
optimism and that positive attitude.
Yeah.
Follow your passions.
Yep.
Surrounding yourself with friends and family.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah,
and
those
saying
are
yes to
great.
adventures because you've traveled all around the world, haven't you?
That's right. Yes.
Speaking of traveling across the world, I know that you, when you do your travels and on your own, you have your own show.
Yeah.
And you have a question that you like to
So,
ask people, right?
Before we get into the questions, so I would like if you could kind of talk about your show a little bit. So,
Yeah.
and I guess before we even dive into that, just talking to the audience. So,
I don't even know where they
We
are.
have-
There's so many cameras in here.
I know. We have a couple different. So we have a little something extra, which we are on right now. But Fionnathan Productions also has their own show as well, and that is the Happiness Project. Correct?
Indeed,
yes.
So. Not only are we doing our show on the podcast today, but we are also going to feature your show on the podcast today as well. So before we jump into really getting into your show, can you tell us a little bit about the Happiness Project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Fionn, how far back do we have to go to tell the story? I suppose when you were a teenager,
Yes, when I was a teenager, yeah.
because like all teenagers, well, most of them anyway, your father was asking you, well, what do you want to be when you grow up anyway?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right.
And do you remember your first answer when I asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yes, I do remember. I said that I wanted to be the next David Attenborough.
The next David Attenborough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know who he is?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Planet Earth and the narrations, everything like
That's
that.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the
BBC.
guy. Yeah.
So this
Love David
wonderful,
Attenborough.
Fionn just loves animals, and he loves. He wanted to travel the world and learn about wildlife, and I thought, well, that's ridiculous. Like that's not going to happen. Like my critical side, right, initially said that's not very realistic, and then I had to think about it, and I realized, but what is he saying? He's saying that he wants to do something like that, and
Right.
we can travel the world. We can save our pennies and go, one trip a year, whatever it is, and you can learn filmmaking and
Yeah.
all of this, and so we had a path, and I thought I want to help Fionn on that path, and then I thought, but I better double check because teenagers change their minds a lot. We
Right.
all know. So I asked you the following week, what do you want to be when you grow up, Fionn? And you said,
That I want to be an accomplished musician.
Oh,
which is
musician.
another great goal.
I think you're
Totally.
already there.
Just a very different goal from the first
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
So I asked the third
Yeah.
time a week later, and you said,
I said that I wanted to be a member of One Direction.
oh.
There you go. You
Well,
can replace
that-
Harry.
that was
Yes.
a little harder to visualize how I could get him into a boy band, But I think the point was that Fionn had a lot of different ideas, and that's very typical for teenagers. So why not explore them? And what better way than to meet people who are successful doing these different things in life, and to ask them a question, to interview them. And so over time we began. I'm jumping ahead quite a bit, but we started asking professional musicians and filmmakers and all kinds of people in other walks
Yeah.
of life you didn't even think of. Politics, for instance,
Yeah.
authors. And I asked Fionn, could you come up with one simple question that
Yeah.
you could do the interviewing this way? And what was the question you came up with?
What do you love about your life?
What do you love about your life?
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the best question that you can ask someone to really be able to get a gauge of who they are without necessarily having to dive too deep into their background first. It paints the picture of who that person is. It's a beautiful question.
Yep. Fionn has asked so many famous people that question who get interviewed all the time, and a lot of them say,
Oh boy.
no one's ever asked me that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a wonderful question.
I mean, you've interviewed some. I mean, just to name a few. I mean, you've interviewed Arthur Shelby himself, Cillian Murphy, which is awesome. I mean, Will Poulter is another big actor that I saw on there. Marissa Tomei, who is seriously one of my favorite actresses ever. My Cousin Vinny is like one of my favorite movies. And then even the founder of Special Olympics too, with Tim Shriver.
Yeah.
I saw he was on there as well, and
Yeah.
a ton more. Didn't you say he also interviewed Coolio on
That's
there
right,
as well?
yeah.
That one I missed, but that's fantastic too.
when Fionn interviewed a rap group from a previous generation, they're the Sugar Hill Gang.
You interviewed the Sugar Hill Gang too?
I did,
mean,
yeah.
you've done over 600 interviews. It was
Yeah.
tough to
That's
be able to
right.
try to get through all of them. But the Sugar Hill Gang,
The Sugar Hill Gang, when Fionn interviewed them, they later, when they were doing their concert, invited him up on stage to perform Rapper's Delight with them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they gave you a microphone. And
That's right.
and how many of the words did you know?
None.
no, none of the words to Rapper's Delight.
But he faked
That's,
it really
so what?
well.
I would too.
That's
Oh, yeah.
hilarious. Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So what'd you end up doing then when you went up there?
I ended doing faking it with style, but I got
Faking it with style, not just faking
Faked
it.
it with style. That's the key. If you're gonna sell it, you got to sell it with
That's
style.
right.
The audience, they were so good natured.
Hilarious.
Everyone was laughing so hard.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I mean, we were all laughing. You know, you can't say with, but
Yes.
not at. You
Yeah.
know, but just
Yeah. Just at the whole situation.
That's what,
and
that's what
everything.
all of us would have done. Just
Hilarious.
I mean,
fake it till you
seriously.
make it. Fake it till you
also
make it.
so-
Yeah, I was doing
so
a bit of
proud
this.
that he
Oh,
could-
yeah.
that
Oh,
he could
yeah.
just be
Oh,
there.
yeah.
He wasn't nervous. He was just
No, he just
doing
went up there with
his
his
thing.
free self.
It was
Yep.
hilarious.
I mean, and seriously, how many 26-year-olds are going to know all the words to Rapper's Delight? Aside from me, because I do know all the words to Rapper's Delight.
Why don't you
But
give us
I'm
some,
an old
Franco?
soul. Give you some
Yeah.
Rapper's Delight?
Yeah.
I said a hip, hop, a hippie to the hip, hip, hop, and you don't stop the rockin' to the bang, bang, booty the up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to be.
All right.
But
We're a karaoke family, so I,
I
bet
was
he
gonna
knew that whole
say-
song.
Up there.
Hotel, motel, holiday
Holiday
Inn.
Inn. There you go. See, you got some of it down.
That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough. If you're gonna get thrown up there, might as well just be your true self and then just throw it out there. So I love the fact that you just went up there with style,
Yeah.
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
That's the move.
What's crazy about what we've found is going to all of these famous folk whose time is, you know, they say no
Typically
a lot,
in a hurry.
right?
Yeah,
they
they're
have
jumping
to
around.
say no a lot, and Fionn gets yeses all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's something about, you know, your charm and your good looks and your handsome father, but but it also is Down syndrome. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something that's what we find in so many areas of life, that people really are interested in people with Down syndrome, and so there's this sort of I don't know if you can call it an anti-prejudice or a reverse prejudice or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
but have you found that as well? Is that
It's
something
a little
that
bit
goes on?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes both ways. There's a people that extremes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Total
a big
extremes.
piece too is the fact that I feel like one of the hard parts about individuals with Down syndrome just being interacted with more and just being able to just create more friends and in relationships is the fact that if you aren't necessarily connected to someone with Down syndrome, you don't know how to approach someone with Down syndrome.
Right.
And in the case of
And that's just that acceptance
Yeah, in
through
the case of
understanding.
Fionn,
We're trying to
he-
make people take away that fear because
Exactly.
there's either they're interested and want to be in, or they're afraid because they don't know enough and they don't want to do something wrong.
Yeah.
They don't want to be wrong and say the wrong thing. They're more afraid of that. I don't think they're afraid of them. They're afraid of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing or acting the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then understand that just we're here. They're here to teach and love just like everybody else.
So your interviews invite people in. I
Yes.
think that's one of the
They
most
do,
important
yeah.
things.
And I
It's
think
really-
Fionn is also super. I mean, the way that right when you walked in, when we first met today, you're just super approachable and engaging, and the fact that you're also really like you're a curious soul, and I think that's why you ask so many of those questions. So I think that it just pulls people in because they can tell that you're really just like yearning for that knowledge of who they are, and just trying to broaden your own perspectives as well and learn what they love about their life, right?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
So that is what happens now is the asking of the question, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So
sir.
so let's hear it.
Okay. So we're starting with you.
Yes. Oh, jeez. This is very official. I'm scared. You're scaring me. Okay.
Okay. Well, first of all, you look very glamorous.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, Nancy, what do you love about your life?
Wow. What do I love about my life?
Me, of course.
Well, of course. Yes. Yes. Just about everything, especially my kids and my family. I think that is my biggest piece. And of course, Gigi being one of them.
Yeah.
But also the fact that our whole family is invested in people with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And that we get to live with someone with
Yeah.
Down syndrome. We get to serve families of
Yeah.
people with Down syndrome. And I think that's probably the biggest what makes me happy. And I think actually it's the outcomes. It's when I'm leaving, like the last couple nights as I'm leaving, I'm watching people walk in the parking lot all happy after a literacy session or a fitness program. And I'm like, I just say thank you to God. I just feel so blessed that the impacts continue to happen and that I get to be a part of it.
Wow, that is so awesome. Thank you so much.
Great answer.
Yes. Now to you, beautiful Gigi.
Oh.
Oh, thank you.
You're very You're very welcome. What do you love about your life?
I love spending time with my family because I love my family because we always do something, and then they love me, and I'm happy that I am part of the family.
Yes.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Good answer.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Okay, so to you, sharp-looking, handsome Franco.
Oh, well, thank you, Fiona.
You're
So
very
generous of you.
Yes. So, Franco, what do you love about your life, brother?
All right, brother. What do I love about my life? I think the thing that I love most about my life is the opportunities that I've had to create incredible relationships with people. Between my family, who I'm lucky enough to have probably the best relationship you can as a son or a son or a brother with your family. It could not be any better, and I definitely thank Gigi a lot for that. But then I also think about the friends that I have in my life, and I really value all those friendships that have been really lifelong, and just the fact that you could share so much of life together with people, and you can spread your passions, and they could spread their passions to you. So I really value that. And then I really love the relationships I've been able to create through Gigi's Playhouse, and through being an advocate. I think that all of the best people that I've ever met in my life are all advocates of something, and especially an advocate of people with disabilities and just equality and acceptance.
Yeah.
And I mean, every day I get to meet someone new, just like you guys that are changing the world, and being able to hear their stories, helping, share their stories, and then also learning from their stories in ways that I can then go on and change the world is probably my favorite thing that I love about life. My favorite thing about life that I love the most.
Wow, that is so rockin' awesome. Thank you so very much, Franco.
Well, thank you for asking me the question, and thank you for being here.
Nancy, you
Yeah.
must be proud of your children.
Oh, I know. And again, what I have to say is, I would be. It would be amazing if I could say I did this. They are who they are because of Gigi. She has taught us all lessons. She continues to teach us lessons. She continues to keep us together. She continues to keep us bonded. She continues to keep us humble. She continues to keep us honest. And she just continues to teach us. And I think that's the glue. She's our glue that holds everybody together. And that makes us just see the world in a different way, in a beautiful way. And I would love it if it was me, but it's all her.
Yep, you are a real powerhouse, Gigi. I love you for that.
Thank you.
I love it.
And think you are too, sir.
Yes.
That's for sure. You are quite the powerhouse.
Well,
You are.
before we sign off, we've got. All right, do you have a sign off that you need to do for your show? Do you do anything specific?
Sure. For anyone out there watching this podcast, what do you love about your life?
That's right. And what is your something extra? If you haven't found it yet, maybe you learned something. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting. If you haven't found it yet, maybe you're still searching for it. Maybe you learned something today, but you're something extra. You were born with it. All of us were born with it, and sometimes we just have to find it. If you have a dream, go for it, right?
Yes.
Just like you did. And this was so awesome. I feel so blessed that you guys were able to come here. We have gifts for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Here you go. We have gifts from Hugs and Mugs that these guys made for you guys. So we're so happy that you joined us today. And this is Nancy, Gigi, Franco, Jonathan, and Fionn signing off from A Little Something Extra. And what is yours? The Happiness Project?
Yes.
And the Happiness Project. Be good, be safe, and be loving. Love you guys.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Bye, guys.
Generation G. And have a great Down syndrome awareness month.
Whoop, up there. Now we're going to the wrong camera. We're kind of everywhere.
We're all over
where
the
we're
place.
going.
Yes. All right.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for
everybody.
joining us.
You guys,
Thank
that
you
was
for having
awesome.
us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Really fun.
Thank you,
guys
guys.
are rock stars. Everybody is born with a little something extra, and sometimes they just have to find it. A little something extra is that superpower that every single one of us has inside that motivates us and drives our passion and makes us do the things that we do.
We're all on the same team. Let's think about how we can make that team as inclusive as we can.
For those of you listening to our podcast right now, you can also check out our video podcast at alittlesomethingextrapodcast.org.